What's going on, everyone? Chris here with Clutter Reduction Junk Removal. Right now, we're heading to help somebody on a move, and then we're going to do some marketing in the area. I brought a change of clothes with me. Three things I want to talk about that I personally have noticed to help keep you busy. And some of these are going to be pretty straightforward, some of them might be a little different. So, number one thing, of course, marketing. Marketing, if you're like me, you do a big burst of it like once a quarter. You just go out and go everywhere, like all in 1 week, and you just take the time to just hone in on it. And then you don't do a lot of it until the next time. You might do social media, you keep your SEO up for Google searches, stuff like that. But for the most part, maybe occasional yard sign here or there, but you really focus in on like once a quarter. That's what I personally do, just because I don't have the time to just do it every single day. You have jobs to do, and I'm running the jobs myself. If you have employees and you're, running the show in the background, you may have a little bit more time to yourself. But what I have noticed personally is when I do marketing a little bit more frequently, I usually see the results not the next day, but usually within a couple of weeks to a month. But the good thing about that is if you continue to do that on a constant basis, then you're consistently getting work in a couple of weeks or a month. So if I had done this a month ago, that means that business from that past time would be going on right now. Now, what I would recommend, I started doing this and then I got kind of busy in October, but pick one day of the week, one day, and hone in on marketing for that day. Go by all of your businesses and go talk to the managers. Go introduce yourself. Say, hey, if you guys ever need cards left behind, or if you ever have trash left behind, or maybe you're swapping out furniture, doesn't matter. It could be a restaurant, it could be a small office, it could be a large office, it could be a storefront. Everybody has trash at some point. It's usually inconvenient. Sometimes it's not planned. They don't always have the means to get rid of it right away, and they usually end up just storing it in their back room, in their storage room. Hell, maybe they just put it outside, but that can get them in trouble with the city coordinates. So everyone usually has trash. It comes down to whether or not they're willing to pay you to get rid of it on the spot. So you need to just kind of play with that game. You need to make that gamble. You're pushing for volume, and then you're hoping that one person's going to say, I don't really want to keep this big old desk in the back here. It's in our way. Let's pay someone to come take it out, even if it costs $100, $200. That's the person you're looking for, and you're not going to know who that is until it comes. But try to pick a day of the week, and I mentioned day, not weekend, because not everyone is open on a weekend. So pick a day, go talk to your managers, go by apartment buildings, ask if you can leave behind business cards for their residents, go by storage units, leave cards behind for the managers. I've gone to storage units, like I'll pick a whole day and just go to all of the storages near me, and half of them are like, yeah, you can leave your cards here, sure. I know they're getting thrown out or they're not getting passed out. I'm accepting that. But I'll go to my occasional where they're like, we see that all the time. I don't think we really have anybody, or maybe like sometimes our maintenance guy takes care of it. And I think, okay, they're nice about it, but I don't know if they're actually pass out my cards. And then 3 weeks later, I get a call from someone at a storage unit saying, hey, yeah, the manager here gave us your card. And I'm like, okay, which one are you at? They're like, oh, we're on so-and-so. I'm like, oh, that's a lady who said that their maintenance guy sometimes takes care of it. Okay. And then a month later, you get another call from the same place, and they are passing out your cards. So never underestimate people. They're not all going to be in your favor, but you're playing for volume. You hand out, if you talk to 1,000 people over the course of a year, and only 100 of them actually respond and use you on jobs, that's 100 clients that you directly marketed to. That's not like people finding you through Google. You're going to have an addition to that. That is just 100 people you directly marketed to. If your average job is, let's say, $300, do the math on top of everything else that you have going on. So marketing is ideally should never stop, right? I don't think anybody has the time to do it every single day unless you have a marketing manager who handles that directly every single day. If you could pay someone salary or commission or whatever for that, good for you. If not, and you're running things on your own like I am, that is what I would recommend. And then the next thing kind of falls under the line of marketing, but it's a little bit more for visuals. It's truck branding and yard signs. Now, yard signs, check with your city, go to your go to your state statutes and look at your county and make sure that you can put yard signs out. It's gonna say pretty much anywhere that it's not prohibited, but then it'll specify where. So typically, you can put signs out on street poles of intersections as long as you're not directly blocking a visual of a vehicle. So like, let's say right-hand turn, if you have a yard sign right there in front of them and they can't quite see the car on the other side, that is where it becomes a problem. Or if you're putting it on private property, usually residential private property. I've noticed over time, especially at the movie company, they used to blast those things everywhere with no care in the world. The owner even told me, I was like, do you ever get fined for these? And he was like, if I do, I pay them because the alternative is worth it. But make sure that you're not putting them on somebody's private property that you didn't do a job for, you don't have permission for. If you're putting it out in like a plaza, don't blast them everywhere. Put out one. You don't have to put out like 6 at every single entrance and exit, because that property manager might see that and say, I don't want this crap all over the place. Call your number and they say, hey, if you don't remove these in the next hour, I'm going to report it to the sheriff's office, and then you're going to have to pay a fine with them. Just put them out casually, right? Maybe one at a gas station, one near a storage unit on the side of the road, one on street poles at each intersection, one out by a busy plaza like a Walmart or a Target or something, right? Keep it simple. Don't make a nuisance of yourself, because that's usually how people get in trouble, because they overdo it. And then never underestimate truck branding. If you've been watching me for a while, you know that I used to use U-Hauls when I first started. And U-Hauls worked great for me, but they sucked for exposure. Nobody knew who the hell I was. I even had truck magnets I put on the side doors of the U-Haul just in case I go to a guard gate or somebody's walking by and they see me. Why are there so many cars at this damn gate? Nobody knew who I was. I go drive around the city, I'm on the highway, I'm going to customers' houses, I'm going to the dump, I'm parked at the gas station. They just think I'm somebody moving somebody else or moving myself. They don't know who I am. That was a big issue of mine. Probably the most important thing for me to change back when I was trying to grow. And once I got my truck and then I got my trailer, the trailer was a game changer. The truck alone, just having magnets on the truck, everywhere you go, people look at magnets. It's something different on a vehicle. It has information on it. People sit there and read it. Does it apply to them? Not always, but people read it. If you're slow, go do truck branding. Truck branding has been pretty good for me. You go drive out to your local Home Depot, you go to, a busy Publix, a Target, a Walmart, go by a Lowe's, go park out by a gas station. You always see, think of it this way. If you ever see a 1-800 got junk truck parked out somewhere, they're probably there because they get business from it. You don't see them usually parked out by a Walmart. I go by Walmarts because it's a huge population and there's busy traffic. But you never see a 1-800 got junk truck parked out there. They're usually at gas stations, a Habitat for Humanity or a Goodwill, or they're out in like a busy open parking lot where there's just a lot of traffic from all 4 sides that can see it, especially like in downtown areas if you have one. That's what I've noticed. So, you doing push-ups? I used to do that. He's running and then jumping down and doing push-ups and then keep running. I used to do that at street poles. Every 8 street poles, first of all, I would do, a tempo run with the street poles. So you would jog from one pole to the next pole, and then run to the next pole, and then sprint to the third pole, and then you go back to a jog, and then you run, sprint, blah, blah, blah. It's supposed to help increase your stamina and get you used to bursting in the middle of a race. But then I got bored of it, so like every 8 or 10 poles, I think it was, I would drop down and do 20 push-ups and then keep running. Gotta do what you gotta do when you weigh 150 pounds and you're 6 feet and all you do is run. So yeah, for truck branding, I've found it helpful to just be out there. If you have the day off, let's say you have 2 days off, right? If I don't have a job scheduled, I usually take the day off. I don't like go out and like, oh my God, I got a day off. I got to go push. I got to work. I got to grind. I don't give a fuck. If I have a day off, I take that day off, because if I don't, and then the next day is busy and the next day is busy, and all of a sudden I get backed up on all my personal stuff. Yes, this is my business, but it's not my fucking life. Like, I have other things to do. So if I have a day off, I usually take it and I'll go do stuff. Maybe I'll hop on social media for like an hour and go push out a couple of posts or something. But I accept that day off. If the next day I don't have stuff, then you go out and do something. You go do marketing, you go push. I find it best to just pick up the trailer and just go drive around. Maybe pop by a couple of like office buildings and go talk to the manager inside. But at least get out with your truck and trailer, because now you are a giant mobile billboard to everybody around you. So it can be very beneficial for catching that one person that may need you. The third thing is to talk to people. Whether that is through social media, you're directly messaging them, whether they're new people, like realtors, for example, or they're former clients, somebody you've worked with in the past, maybe a realtor you just know, but you haven't worked with maybe, or maybe you have worked with them. It doesn't matter. Reach out to people and talk to them. Ask them how they're doing. How's business? How's life? What's new? You know, if you know that they went on a trip recently, ask them about the trip. You're just talking to people. It's normal. So reach out to people on social media. Maybe text people you've done repetitive business with. If you're on that kind of, base with somebody, like you've done work for them all over the place, just say, hey, I was just passing by your neighborhood the other day. I just want to check in and see how you're doing. They don't care. Just message and say, hey, how are you doing? I was thinking about you the other day. I just drove by. I was in your area. Just want to check in and see what's going on. Right? And you start talking to them. You're like, oh, this is happening? Oh, okay. And what they're doing is, most times they're going to associate you with junk removal. So while they're talking to you, you ever get those, oh, this reminds me, I have some shit out back I need to get rid of. You think you can come by sometime and pick that up? And you're like, sure, no problem. Let's try to set up a time this week or next week or whatever. And then you continue talking about whatever it is that you're talking. Don't just say, okay, bye. I got what I needed. No, talk to people. Another thing is to send out postcards. So if you've watched me for a while, I do thank you cards to every single client I get. If I have a physical address for them, if they're a realtor or professional, I at least get their business address and then I just write it out to them. I always send thank you cards. In addition to that, I do holiday cards. Every year, starting usually like in October and November, I start writing them because it gets to be a lot. I don't do mailers. I do handwritten thank you cards. Handwritten holiday cards. And they're going to adjust a little bit depending on the person, because, some people I have a little bit more rapport with. I might write a little extra in there, something to kind of connect us. But if you start to feel like you're kind of slow, send out 10, 15, 30 postcards to those clients that you want to have back again, right? The people who've used you repetitively, the people who gave you good business and maybe shot you 1 or 2 referrals. Just write them a card saying, hey, I was just thinking about you. I'm happy we were able to take care of you in the past. I just wanted to check in and see how things are going. If you have anything new come up, please do give me a shout. If you have any other services maybe you're looking to get done, I may know a guy. Feel free to ask. Hope all is well. Blah, blah, blah. Right? Another thing you could do is to reach out to people and ask to meet for coffee, right? If you've ever done work for a realtor in the past and you guys were on good terms, like they didn't hate you at the end of it, and maybe you've done a second job for them, reach out to them on social media and say, hey, we did a job for you about a month ago. We're looking to connect with realtors a little bit more. I would love if you would be able to meet up with me for coffee, my treat, name a place. I'll meet you there, make it a company for them. You want to make it easy. And when you get there, you don't have to just talk about business. Talk to them. Get to know them. Get to know how they got into real estate, why they like it, what's their passion behind it. People like to talk about themselves, especially about what they like and why they like it. Why is a powerful question. I learned that from, God dang it, what's the CNN guy? Larry King. Larry King, years ago, made a book about how to talk to anyone, anywhere, about anything. It's one of the few communication books I've actually read start to finish and actually enjoyed. But his pretty much, to sum up the 90-ish page book, was to ask why questions, because they're open-ended and it gets people talking. If someone said, hey, Chris, you started a junk removal business? And I say, yeah. Okay, that's cool. Hey, Chris, why did you start a junk removal business? Oh, I was a professional mover for X amount of years and I was just getting tired of it. I liked the Job Corps concept, hated the management. I wanted to utilize my skill set without having to go on a whole nother job hunt and restart everything over. So I thought, how could I do this and make it a little bit easier? Moving insurance is high, and then you just go off, right? But you're opening up conversations. And if you listen, now you can follow up with that conversation and say, I don't know if you're going straight or you're turning. You have no turn signal on. You're probably turning, you fucking asshole. Yeah, I love Florida, man. So you can follow up a conversation. Hey, I heard you mention there you were a mover. That's cool. How long did you do that for? I bet you've probably moved some pretty shitty things in your time. And you start talking about it. Or they mention like, oh, that's smart. You wanted to use your skill set and, keep to what you know so you can actually be efficient with your business. That's what a realtor told me before. And that's the whole idea, is you're building into conversation. You start up with one topic and then you expand it, and all of a sudden you guys are talking about fucking baseball. And it's like, what? But you're building a connection with people. You're talking with people. It's an important concept. So those are a few things I would recommend. You can also do emails. People are a little trickier with emails, I think. I think text message is pretty straightforward, and social media nowadays is pretty straightforward. Emails are kind of tricky. So try an email. If they answer it, cool. If they don't be upset about it. Maybe send a second one just as a follow-up. Maybe send an email to clients that you're not on a one-on-one basis with. Just say, hey, this is your fellow junk hauler from Clutter Reduction Junk Removal, and we just wanted to check in. We know the holidays are coming up, or spring cleaning is coming up. Here's a couple of tips that you can use, and just find some tips off of Google or something, or use your own experience. Just say, hey, if you guys are looking to declutter a little bit, of course you have our number. If you have a repeat client discount, make sure to mention that. Or if you use something on them in the past, say, hey, we noticed that you had a 10% discount from a referral. We'd be happy to honor that again for the holidays. All right, it's just a little extra sales. So those are 3 things that I have found to be helpful when I am getting slow again. I know some of it is pretty straightforward, but hopefully you guys pulled at least something from it. I think that number 3 is very important. Hope everybody else is staying busy, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.